Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from Britain. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has facing mass resignations inside the British establishment after at least 4 members of the grooming inquiry have resigned, and the only two remaining candidates to chair the inquiry have also quit and withdrawn their candidacy. The whole thing is falling apart. And the one resignation that people are waiting for, Jess Phillip, still hasn't happened because Downing Street apparently have full confidence in their safeguarding minister. I'm going to explain what on earth is going on with the British government right now, today, as we speak. Get your reaction in the live chat as usual. This is all about the grooming scandal that has been going on for decades and decades. The Labour government, a year ago, when they got into government, they refused to do a full inquiry. Then they said, we're going to do a bit of an inquiry, some investigation. They were forced to do the existing project to actually find out what happened. They don't want to find out what happened because a lot of people are going to be exposed. So a fourth survivor of these gangs has now resigned from the panel for the government's grooming gangs inquiry. Jessica, it's not actually her real name, anonymous, from West Yorkshire, has now quit the panel. She said that when she discovered that the two potential chairs for this inquiry was going to be either a former police officer and a social worker, one of them was Jim Gamble and Annie Hudson, she said that I was shocked and I didn't know how they could be involved. The reason for this is because one of the main issues around the grooming gang scandal, the criminal networks, was that they managed to also infiltrate the establishment. The local police forces, social workers, local councillors, some members of the press allegedly, everybody on a local ground, a lot of them were compromised regardless. So imagine the outrage that people are being brought on without actually having any accountability. And, for example, a former police officer. And obviously that person is not too happy about the fact that he's been pushed out. But everything goes back to the Prime Minister himself and Jess Phillips, the safeguarding minister. Let's talk about this. First things first, about the former police officer. So Jim Gamble was the last one that just basically withdrew his candidacy or, his prospective potential job. And Annie Hudson, she's the one on the right. She was the one who was in social work. But it doesn't really matter about their initial background, by the way. This is actually about the mishandling of the whole thing by the Labour government. Everybody from the Prime Minister to Jess Phillips. So the calls for Jess Phillips to resign are escalating massively over the last few hours. And this is coming from the grooming gang survivors themselves, saying that she's rude, she's aggressive, she's not listening, and she's basically calling everybody a liar. She is a complete disgrace. What were the Labour government thinking? Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the opposition, during the Prime Minister's questions, she also said that Jess Phillips should resign. Keir Starmer says, I have full confidence, which usually means she's gone within days or weeks. When Downing Street says I have full confidence in someone, that's the end, basically. Let's go to Kemi.
Jess Phillips needs to be removed because I don't think her conduct during this has been acceptable for the position that she holds. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of a survivor. It is a shame that Labour MPs are drowning that out. The victims have said that she should be sacked. We on this side of the House believe that she should be sacked because this is about Labour failure. Labour never wanted this inquiry. We demanded it. It has been Labour-run councils, Trafford, Bradford, Blackpool, that tried to suppress the truth. It is Labour ministers attacking the victims. We're standing up for them. And how is it, Mr. Speaker, how is it that whether it is rape or Chinese espionage, when he's in a position to do something about it, it's always someone else's fault?
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on. Now, we have to also hear from the survivors themselves, because the survivors are now fighting. They are fighting back. It's their opportunity. For years and years, they were told to keep quiet, sometimes by some Labour politicians as well. Things are changing. One survivor said, "We met with Jess Phillips, and all she wanted to do was walk away from the situation." That's how the government is treating these people who have been targeted by the gangs. Let's go to that moment.
Why are you not doing anything? We've been to the House of Lords. I sat in front of Jess Phillips and blurted out all of our emotions. Our emotions got the better of us. We got a little bit angry with her. And all she wanted to do was walk away from the situation instead of facing it. It's like we're not ever going to get anywhere with this. And we now are never going to have any hope because all we ever do is hold on to hope and get let down again and again.
Yeah. Someone said in the live chat, Kemi Badenoch, you had 14 years to do something about this. She didn't. Kemi was not Prime Minister, and Kemi was only in Parliament for a few years, not 14 years. She wasn't an MP in 2010. So going back to the fact that the mainstream media are now using this opportunity to get ratings for themselves because they are now inviting all these survivors, and they don't like the fact that, well, it's good to have them on because people want to hear from them now after years of basically pretending they don't exist. But they don't like the fact that these survivors are going on TV and attacking the Labour government and the Labour Party. So every single time they go on TV, the presenter says, "Oh yeah, thank you for your time," or they just ask stupid questions and distract the whole thing. Let's go to another one. Another victim said that Jess Phillips should also step down. She's publicly, and I quote, "accused me of lying when she knows I am telling the truth." Surprise, surprise. Let's go.
I think she needs to step down because she's publicly accused a grooming gang survivor who, throughout my whole life, has been accused of lying over and over again. That is part of the whole scandal. She has publicly accused me of lying when she knows I'm telling the truth. Earlier on, I released the email that we had when we spoke about the scope. I also released a text message where I confronted Jess about this email and about them asking about why they're in the scope. And I think for her to call me a liar when she knows I'm not lying is outright outrageous.
It is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. Now, things could have been prevented. This is about how this government mishandled the whole thing. It's about the fact that, because it's not really just about the Labour Party, because it's a lot easier to just go around saying, well, all this stuff happened under Labour with the local councils and local authorities, local councillors that were Labour. Yeah, it's easy to say that. Yeah. But technically speaking, it had nothing to do directly with Jess Phillips herself, right? Just because she's Labour and some other Labour people did that doesn't mean she's to be blamed. But she's to be blamed for years of neglect and years, and even now, going around pretending that nothing is happening and she's just lying about the whole thing. That is a problem. Complacency sometimes becomes complicity when you know you are lying by calling other people liars. So there is this issue of how the government is going to be handling this. Now, the opposition parties continue to push, I mean, depending on who you're talking about, the Tories and Reform UK. But there is no power. You don't really have that much power unless you control number 10 Downing Street. It doesn't matter if you're a government minister. It doesn't matter if you're party chairman. It doesn't matter if you're a backbench MP. It doesn't matter what party you're from. You have to be prime minister. It's the only way this country works. It's a centralized system. It doesn't matter. It's not even actually about Jess Phillips. We are attacking Jess Phillips because we're actually attacking Keir Starmer. It's not even about Jess Phillips. Just get rid of her. Done. The power goes back to the Prime Minister. So all those years of the previous government that you want to, for example, also attack the Prime Ministers. Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, David Cameron, Gordon Brown, Tony Blair. The power goes back to number 10. Number 10 doesn't want you to know that. Number 10 wants you to think that, there's accountability and power amongst the whole of the House of Commons. All the MPs, backbench MPs, junior ministers, Secretary of State, they have power. No, they don't. Everything goes back to number 10 Downing Street. And everything technically goes back to the Cabinet Office and the Cabinet Secretary. And obviously the permanent secretaries of each department. Another survivor, there's been a lot of interviews, by the way. Victims and survivors saying none of this should have happened. The problem is, And we're not talking about none of this should have happened in terms of the actual grooming gangs. That was always going to happen because of mass migration, multiculturalism, and political correctness. What's been going on over the last year? None of that should have happened. Let's go to another one.
They've dragged me into this bedsit. They've took me up these stairs, right? It's like 2 flights of stairs. They've took me in this tiny room. And then there was an adjoining room on these bedsits. You know what bedsits are like. And they've just grabbed me. 2 of them have grabbed me. And then there's more men coming. They're all talking in the mother tongue. I couldn't tell a word they were saying, right? And they've just gone. I can't go into it too much.
No, you don't.
They've just gone one after the other, just penetrated me.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
You're all right.
Yeah, sorry, but I just...
No, listen, love, I know.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to.
They can go around calling everybody a liar. Fine. The truth is coming out, one by one. Rajamir, Tommy Robinson, Sammy Woodhouse, all these guys who were going around for years and years exposing this, they were told to shut up. Now, one by one, victims and survivors, they're also getting their own platforms. You can't stop everybody. It's almost impossible. Katie Lamb, the rising star, apparently, of the Tory party in Parliament, also started exposing the detail of what these survivors are saying because the Labour government is not talking about it. That's the main issue. In the House of Commons, you have to use your platform to actually, because you can put in writing, in Hansard, everything you say, it will be in record. Katie Lamb explained, again, this will have some bad language, but it's important for people to see and hear.
The men who preyed on them were predominantly Muslim, generally either from Pakistan or of Pakistani heritage. One of the victims from Dewsbury was told by her rapist, I quote, "We're here to fuck all the white girls and fuck the government."
Yeah.
Will the minister accept that, in many
Look at their
cases,
faces.
these crimes were racially and religiously aggravated?
Just look at Jess Phillips's face and the front bench of the Labour government. Now, the Tory MP, Katie Lamb, she kept going on about the details of the testimonies and everything else. The front bench of the government, they were in full panic mode. It's fascinating because one of the reasons nothing happened from the Tory front bench during the few years that they were in government was simply because also there was no pressure from the opposition at the time. The opposition was the Labour Party, 14 years. There was no pressure on Tory ministers to do anything, right? It's because the Labour shadow cabinet didn't want to put pressure on the Tory government. And the Tory government didn't care. The cabinet of the Conservative Party at the time didn't care. The prime ministers didn't care. At best, they didn't care. At best, they were focusing on political correctness. At worst, complacency became complicity. Both parties. The fascinating part is that the new Tory MPs who weren't really in government at the time, like Katie Lamb, they weren't even in Parliament, they are trying to basically fix that or try to change the narrative. The Labour government, they are absolutely fascinating creatures. Why is it that nobody's going around also exposing the former shadow cabinet, who were Keir Starmer's Labour Party? Because we focus a lot on the Labour councillors, the local authorities on a local level, because a lot of them should go to prison, a lot of them. But there should also be a whole campaign on asking a simple question. 14 years of being in shadow cabinet, what did you do about it? We already know 14 years of Tory government, they didn't do anything about it. That was completely chaotic. We already know that. We're focusing on that in the inquiry. What about the role of the shadow cabinet? Now, we know some of them will be exposed. Certain people who are no longer at the top of the cabinet, they have resigned recently-ish, a couple of months ago. Their names will come out. And everything goes back to the Northwest, where Andy Burnham is a Greater Manchester mayor, and people around that area, other Labour figures, they will be exposed. We already know that. This has been already discussed. Anyway, to get some reaction. Also, the fascinating thing is that the inquiry is not really the main issue of it, and I'm going to explain why. But firstly, we got Ivan saying this is a deliberate screw-up, in my opinion. Yeah. So let's not fully focus on this level of inquiry. So this inquiry, or an inquiry into what happened and giving a voice to the victims and survivors. That's important and it should happen, but that should be on this side. This is not the main fight. The inquiry simply focuses on what happened in the past. How can we expose people who are responsible? How can we punish the people who are responsible? Why is it that nobody's talking about the second issue, which is right now as we speak? Right now as we speak, on Wednesday the 22nd of October, it's 5:30 p.m. UK time. In the next half an hour, in the next few minutes, in the next couple of hours, another girl is going to be targeted. Many other gangs in their groups are going to be targeting more women and children. It's still happening. Now, obviously, yes, you do your thing, focus on the past, do that anyway, but the whole country and the whole focus, political parties, political groups, activists, citizen journalists, everybody is solely focusing on in the inquiry. Do that anyway. Push for that. There are some people who are pushing for that already. Sammy Woodhouse, Rupert Lowe, Tommy Robinson, do that. But you also need to focus. There's absolutely no group, nobody right now pushing for the current crisis to stop. You need to push the political parties. It's still going on. The political parties, including the Tory party, Reform UK, obviously these are the parties in Parliament, but even those who are outside of Parliament, like, I don't know, UKIP or Advanced UK or whoever they are, push for them to come up with the solutions for what's happening as we speak. Not about 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 50 years ago. That's already happening. Well, the inquiry is not really happening properly, but the fight for that is happening. I've named people who are leading that campaign. We know that. We need to find out what happened in the past. Expose that, punish the right people. Nobody's talking about the fact that it's still going on. We need to stop it now. You don't need an inquiry for that. No, stop bureaucracy. Stop this nonsensical inquiry nonsense. Go after them. We know what's going on. You need a task force. Just like how President Trump went after the foreign criminals. Go in there. I mean, we can't really federalize the troops in the UK. You can use the central government. Use your National Guard. Send them in there. You need to go in there, find out exactly what's going on. People know who these people are. Empower people on a local level with evidence. Let them give you evidence. Go and knock on doors, drag people out, kick them out of the country, and those who are complicit, who are British, allegedly, the councillors, the MPs, the police officers, social workers, arrest them. Take them to court. Now, mass deportations immediately. Stop this nonsense of sending foreign criminals to our own jails and prisons using taxpayers' money for a couple of years. There was another one that was just arrested. 4 years. He'll be out within 2 years. Weird, right? Absolutely weird. It's not just about the fact that the sentencing is a little bit messed up. The fact that we are using British taxpayers' money to fund their accommodation in prisons and they're going to come back out. Get rid of them. Noosh says, I just want to know what we're going to do. There doesn't seem to be any actual plan by, as I said, political parties or political movements, activist groups. Nobody has said anything. Apart from the easy solution that I've also mentioned. Oh, mass deportations. Yeah, we know that. We stop the boats. Yes, we know that. There are thousands and thousands of not just illegal migrants you need to deport, foreign criminals. You need to go in and actually clean up the system, but it's not just about the migrants. It's also about those who are apparently Anglo-Saxon Brits who are working in the police. There are social workers, they are local councillors, they are in the establishment, they work for the local councils. You need to go and arrest them. There are local people with evidence. You empower the local people to give you the evidence, streamline the system, simplify the prosecutions, and don't take months and years and decades to do this. Reform the whole of the justice system in order to simplify this process. That's the only way you can do this. And the only way you can do this is using the central government. That's the only way. Crazy. Yeah, Richard says, I'm so sick of people saying that we need to focus on one thing. Exactly. We are a nation, a supposed superpower. Well, I don't think we're a superpower, no, but yeah. And we can't do more than one thing at a time. Exactly. Spot on. The fact that, there's just focus on one thing, we're doing that anyway. Just keep fighting for the inquiry. Keep fighting for a clean inquiry. But at the same time, you should do other things at the same time. You have to reform the justice system immediately. Firstly, you have to get rid of the Labour government. You have to use the central government to go in local communities, find out what's going on immediately, kick people out. President Trump has been doing it within days, weeks, in major cities like Chicago, like DC. Tali Terrence says they can't talk about grooming gangs without talking about the Quran. I've read the violent verses in the Quran, and it's 100 times more worse than I originally thought. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you actually read it, it's a little bit disgusting, the sort of stuff that has been taught. But it's also, partly is the book, but partly is also about the cultural class coming from a certain backgrounds, including basically Pakistan and sometimes Bangladeshi, because it's not necessarily the rich, educated Arabs from UAE or Bahrain. They also grew up with the Quran. They don't do this sort of stuff. They don't even believe in jihad. Because the book is one thing, that's the ideology that needs to be dealt with. But it's also about the barbaric, backward, third world culture that comes from places like Pakistan. That doesn't necessarily come from UAE. Dubai, for example. So there are two issues. If you think that, for example, just ban the book, for example, that doesn't fix everything. For example, a lot of these guys could go and say, oh, yeah, I've reformed. I don't believe in the Quran anymore. I've converted to Christianity. They can lie. You still come from a very backward third world culture. You have no respect for women. Absolutely spot on. Ivan says, half the Labour Party would be in jail, allegedly. I love the word that you added the word allegedly, just in case. So many people have to. Again, let's not forget that I did it again about 5 minutes ago, focusing on the political parties, right? Because we know parties, we know the politicians, we vote for them or against them. There are those who are unelected, bureaucrats, civil servants, those who work in local councils, those ones, the officers, the officials, they go after them. Investigate those guys, not just, obviously throw a couple of Labour politicians or Lib Dem politicians under the bus, fine. We'll do that. But there should also be a full focus on finding out what's happening as we speak right now, tonight, and what's going to happen tomorrow outside a takeaway shop run by Pakistanis, inside a taxi service, or all these random places that all been infiltrated. Local people are talking about these things. They've been talking about this for years and years. Started as gossip and rumors. Then they started getting evidence. They have eyewitnesses. They have victims and survivors that can give you the detailed evidence. It's time to listen to them. Now, right now, they're going to find some of the survivors. Say, okay, well, you're a survivor. Now we want to hear you out. We have an inquiry. We are pushing for an inquiry. Tell me what happened to you 7 years ago. Now, go and find people it's happening to them now. It's happened to them right now, half an hour ago, last night. Or it's about to happen to them. Go find out what's going on the ground. And apologize to people like Tommy Robinson. That's the least they could do. Elegant Rebel says, what are they doing to help the young girls who are being held and SA by gangs today? How are they helping them? They're not helping them. That's my point. It's a whole crime syndicate. Yeah, it's a whole network. The network. The reason we say gangs, people think. I think for a long time, and it literally until now, there have been so many people I've been speaking to, who think that this issue is simply about sexual assault or basic rape. Like, oh yeah, there's a backward third world man, brown man going around touching people. No, that's not the crisis. That's not the scandal. It's a grooming gang scandal, not just a rape scandal. There's a reason for. They don't like the word grooming, but you have to use it because it became politically incorrect. But now we actually embraced it. The reason for this is a gang because it's a network, and they've also managed to infiltrate the police and local councils. Secondly, it's not really just about them touching you at the moment, in that moment. So many of the cases goes for weeks, months, sometimes years. There's the level of brainwashing. There's a level of basically manipulating the young girls. There's a level of blackmailing, pressuring. There's a psychological thing that they do. There's also, most of it is not even just about the physical aspects of touching you. It's the psychological bullying that they are controlling these young girls for a very long time. It's a very dirty but psychological tactic that should also be studied. It should be studied on a psychological level. It's a very dangerous and disgusting but fascinating thing. It's always important to know what your enemy is doing. You need to learn about villains, psychopaths. You have to learn about what they do. But, you know, people could simplify and say, well, yeah, it's just two brown men from Pakistan just go around touching people. No, that's not the thing. It's not just about them raping the young girls and women. There's a whole, obviously, the criminal syndicate part of it, but there's also the tactics. Now, the 4 people who have now resigned, and of course the 2 candidates who were going to be chair who have now quit under pressure coming from the others, as I said, we are simply waiting for the main resignation. The main person needs to resign, and she's not resigning yet. Jess Phillips needs to go. You can't trust her. She's supposed to be a safeguarding minister who's going around insulting women. Now, the British swamp is big, had been around for years and has many tentacles. Take number 10, and change can start just like Trump is in the US. No, so that's the only difference. I've explained this many times. The British system is very different to the US system. The British system is centralized. So the deep state in the UK is the state. In the United States of America, the state is not the deep state. They have shadowy states. So they infiltrate FBI and certain institutions behind closed doors, and then they control it. Whereas in America, you control the White House, you get rid of all the bureaucrats, you bring in your own civil servants, and you change the whole system. You can appoint whoever you want. In Britain, you can't do that. In Britain, you can't just take number 10 Downing Street and change the system, because it's controlled by the deep state is the state. The cabinet secretary calls the shots, the head of civil service. It goes back to the palace. It's the system that controls the system. Politicians don't have the power. There is a way theoretically you can do it. Yeah, you can. If you have a massive mandate in Parliament, if you have the political will, and if you are brave enough to cover your back. So for example, you can be radical, like Liz Truss, introduce a budget, radical budget. They're going to bring you down. Within 10 minutes, they're going to use the system against you, get the media, you're completely politically assassinated. You need to make sure you have your back covered. Not just public support. That's not enough. Oh, but I'm a populist leader. But I've got the votes from the people. I'm the prime minister. No. You need to make sure you are fighting. You're at war with civil service and the shadowy people who are basically connected to the palace. And when we say the palace, we don't mean the king. The palace. The overall system. And the Foreign Office, who are supposed to be technically for foreign policy, but they're not. They control the whole thing. You have to fight, you have to cover your back, you need to know that you have the right people that you are enforcing. Fire everyone immediately, that's not going to fix everything, because they're going to replace them. Civil servants will hire the new civil servants. That's the problem. You have to make sure that they don't actually bring in their own people again. That's the reality. We have a mentally ill person in the live chat called V4 Vendetta saying, who has resigned? Oh, is this clickbait? I'm not going through that again. 4 resigned. Actually, we could take 6 if you include the candidates who withdrawn now. I'm not going through that again. Anyway, Cynthia says the list of MPs, police officers and social workers who's enabled or participated in the abuse of these young girls would rival the Epstein list. Well, obviously, yes, absolutely, Cynthia's spot on, because it's about but this scandal it's been going on for decades on a wider scale in every local area. And also, it's not really just about Britain as a nation, because some of these networks also go back to Pakistan and they work on an international level. Some of them also have links to France. And the fact that they managed to not just bring their own people to do this, but they've also managed to infiltrate the local natives, the Anglo-Saxon British police officers, for example, using either bribery or political correctness pressure or everything else. Disgusting. Super chat from Millard, thank you. And Margaret says, off topic, love the shirt. Yes, thank you. Kendra says, focus on the past and present. GG victims, also be aware with Pakistan influx, the dancing boys that are normal over there, to focus on young boys. This is the other thing, by the way. There's been a lot of cases that they didn't want it to be discussed. Even in recent years, there has been an increase of cases that is actually not about women and girls. It's not just about them, it's also about young boys. That's also being covered up now, because that goes to the Afghani culture. And there is a whole network that are obsessed with focusing on targeting young boys, not necessarily girls. Because half of the Taliban are gay, basically. But they are disgusting people. They're also hypocrites, because, you know, they claim that they are so superior. They are so moral with their Islam. But they go around and sexually target young boys. That is not being talked about. Firstly, step by step, let's save and protect our women and children first. They're the young girls and women first, because we're not even doing that yet. As I said, you can talk about the past, you can do your investigation and inquiry about the past, but what about now? There's going to be girls and women right now as we speak who are going to be targeted in cities like Manchester, Birmingham, London, Luton, Glasgow, everywhere, Leeds. Anyway, we'll find out if Jess Phillips is going to be pushed out. It's likely. I don't know how Downing Street can protect her, how Keir Starmer could actually save her. I think they're using Shabana Mahmood, who's now the new Home Secretary, to be the hardliner. Of all people, Shabana Mahmood, the pro-Palestinian Shabana Mahmood, who's running around saying from the river to the sea until 10 minutes ago, she is now, obviously as new Home Secretary, she's saying, yes, we will have to do everything. No nonsense approach. We have to fix this. Yeah, we have to tell the truth. Yeah, tell the truth, Shabana. Some people are going to get exposed. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to join 2CTV Plus if you found this content informative. If you want to support our independent media work, then become a member of 2CTV Plus by going directly on 2c.tv. But you can also scan the QR code obviously down here, but use the promo code YT10, as in YouTube, YT10, to get 10% off annual memberships of 2CTV Plus. That's the best way to support us. But also you get access to our streaming service with our documentaries, original series, podcasts, interviews, our chat forum, and many other things. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.